Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer1745 with my continuing look at the new Marius update for Imperator Rome, playing as Egypt. Okay, Papyrus will sell that. Stone will sell that. I want to do as much trading as possible, but not the sort of, don't want to give away food that I need. Now, we are pretty soon going to be facing some wars. What we are going to do here is come over here in the legions. Okay, we now have some more unit types. These aren't cheap, but I think we can afford them, so we're going to throw on some horse archers, which I believe are still very good, and some more frontline. Maybe we're going to stick with just the one war elephant because they are damn expensive. We're going to do that. Yes, okay. So now we have this. Let's click on the actual army. So now we're going to change the composition. I know we just set this up. I wanted to show. So we're going to switch this to being horse archers on our flanks. Now they will use some of these other unit types on the flanks, but we have that and we have this. Now again, another note, how wide your army can possibly be effectively in the field will depend upon the type of province you're in now. So if you're in an open plains province, he who can get the largest frontings normally seems to win most of the time. On some of these narrower type provinces, passes and whatnot, it's going to be much narrower frontage, so a big huge army won't be able to envelop a smaller one. So think of that as you do. You think could never have such success without his father reforming the country and the army? Oh, absolutely not. The Phalanx, the companion, what we know is sort of the companion cavalry, Alexander's cavalry, which he's using even under his father. I forget the battle that he used under this sort of cavalry with a super long, basically a sarissa. I modified a bit, but is hugely impactful on the battlefield. And yeah, it's really Philip. Now Philip, of course, basically conquers Greece. Now the city-states still more or less, at least most of them, still exist. It's not, this map painted this sort of blue. It's sort of like they're all sort of fundries or tributaries or whatever you want to call them in these game terms. But he's basically conquered all of Greece at that point. So yeah, it's definitely that kind of thing. Both Anatolian powers. Okay. I'll pause. Oh, we already are paused. I guess we have enough cloth to sell. Happy to sell cloth, and we'll sell some salt. Okay, the Antigonids and their hubris and folly have chosen once again resume hostility. Yeah. Again, if you want the real challenge here, you want to play Antigonus at the start and try to hold what they have. I want to, shall we say, maximize my income here. Able to pay for things. Okay, I want good relations with the Seleucids for now, at least. The Seleucids did sort of have a decent relationship with hemp. Yeah, you can have hemp. With the Ptolemies. One Ptolemaic princess goes off and marries one of the primary Seleucid heirs. Eventually, I think it's one of her children comes back and marries a Ptolemy. So that's about one of the few times that we know of somebody that isn't, because the Seleucids by that time had been intermixing with non-Greeks, but basically, and I know people that I've seen some of the interviews. Oh well, because there's one, we found this body of this woman that was buried somewhere in, I think it was Cyprus, and we've determined that she was, from like the hair or bone structure or something. Excuse me. She was dark skinned. And this must be, because of the time, and they may have good reason for the time, this must be Cleopatra, the famous one, the seventh, sister Arsinoe. Arsinoe, another Greek name. Even though you see Arsinoe in the mummy movies. Nah, because that's way too soon before Greeks coming down there. But Arsinoe, half-sister. And so that must be her. Well, we know who their parents were. We know for generations. Yes, there's one of the Ptolemaic princesses goes off and marries a Seleucid when they're ruling over here. And then one of her offspring, one of her daughters, comes back and marries a Ptolemy. There's a couple possible wives that marry in that that might not be a relative, and definitely some of the relatives that marry do have other parents other than Ptolemy, so they're not like pure Ptolemies. But most all of the stuff we really think, or you really look at it, is probably all Macedonian, if not all Greek. So it's by the time you get to Cleopatra, the famous one, last Cleopatra ruling notice in Egypt, because we do have a Cleopatra. One of her daughters goes and Mauritania marries the king of Mauritania. This is after she's dead, and Rome goes and marries there. But last one ruling in Egypt, the famous one. Now she was almost all Greek. Very much a Greek, and because what's her name that plays Wonder Woman? She is involved in making a movie on Cleopatra, and so she's Israeli, so probably relatively right genetically, meaning Mediterranean, but yeah. And Philip raised a Greek city like a hostage and learned all the, weaknesses of the hoplites. Yeah, well, the Phalanx is more mobile, more able to operate on rough ground. Not as much as the later Legion. It has a smaller shield, longer spear, mostly lighter armored. And yeah, they're able to win. All other things being equal, the Phalanx will defeat the Hoplite. And the Phalanx is named out is the term for the small shield. Is what is the root of it. I'm not exactly sure. And sometime before that's being used there, I think it's being used by some of the peltists, guys who throw things or sling, stones as a shield for skirmishers, and not the heavier hoplitite or hoplites. We want to be French about it. Term. Okay, we have a daughter born. We'll do Cleopatra. Call her the first. I wish you could rename characters more. I know you get to rename your children, but I wish you could rename family, because they keep sticking silly names on them for the Ptolemies. All Ptolemy males basically are Ptolemy. I mean, because the Ptolemy isn't really used as last name, and they really don't use the Langrid name as the last name. And you'll notice this. They do not promote the idea of Langrid as a name. Again, I think whether they believe that they're descendants of Philip II or not, or whether they or know they are, because maybe they just know they are, and it's nothing that's in any recorded history that we have, but they may know they are, or they just want other people to believe it. I truly believe either they are descended from Philip II, or they wanted people to believe they were descended from Philip II. Doesn't, God, I don't know, but it's all that. You named her Cleopatra. Well, yeah, remember, it's Cleopatra. There are, the women in the family that are named, all the males are named Ptolemy, including now it'd be Ptolemy Philadelphus. He's Ptolemy Sutor. Ptolemy the survivor is what that means. Soter is survivor. Ptolemaeus the first Soter. They will all have the name Ptolemy. They will all, have sub names often, not always. All of the women will be named Arsinoe. You can see down here the fourth one up from the bottom, Arsinoe, or Bernice, or if you want to pronounce it, Berenike, probably more correct for the Greek, or Cleopatra. So, I misspelled it, didn't I? Damn it, I misspelled it. Yes. I just misspelled it. Cleopatra. I just typing too fast there. Well, can I fix that? Probably not. Cleopatra. Yeah, Cleo. I know it's Cleo. Just didn't spell it right there. Typo. Okay. Large ceremony be held. We need to convince the oracle of wrong legitimacy influence. Outdated superstition. Okay. Well. Yeah, we want to keep on the good side of the oracle. So we're going to send them money, make them like us. Yes, misspelled it. Dusky. Uh-oh. Prophecies continued. Gods are silent as the days continue, and the priests bring us ill news. It seems the gods have truly decided that there is no redemption. Those two blowbacks to our rules. Okay, well, even after that, we didn't. Well, listen, that isn't a guaranteed thing. Okay. Okay, we have seen our steward, Philetos, Pelopid, as well as under his charge, have been doing a disappointing job. Trader will not be given anything. We don't want to get there. I think we can almost afford the loyalty hit. Not quite really, but okay. In defense of, yes. Okay, so here we go. We're going to war. To war. We're going to war. So here's what we're going to do. Let's come here. We're going to go to levies. We're going to raise. He's as head of this province. He's going as Ptolemy, he's going to raise up. We already have some of the elements claimed for this unit, but we're going to raise this levy. And we're going to raise this levy. Okay, now let's see here. Again, this army composition. Well, the center line is going to be light infantry. And they're going to march this way. We're going to combine these units. And we're going to give them... Yeah. Don't think it will necessarily help so much, but we'll make him... Okay, so we trireme. Primary cohorts, no, okay. Linking cohorts, well, let's do... That is the flanking, and the primary will be triremes. Okay, so at least they'll be in the right spot, or best spot we have. these guys here. Center main force will be light infantry, and then the cavalry will be on the outside. And they're going to come out here as quickly as they can. These guys are going to wait right here. Oh yeah, no, it's, yeah, like Louis or whatever. Oh yeah, no, it was, you know, so 3 names for women, 1 name for Ptolemy. Now there are, I think, a few cases where, because sometimes the main father to son, we're getting close to a chance civil war will break out. Okay, well, what we're going to do here is bribe our way out of this. We're just going to bribe our way out of that war. We can't, we don't, I don't know if I made the right choice in doing that. Okay, these guys are going to come out here. Looking at our currently, okay, we're still having a positive benefit from money. I don't want to get mercenaries. Mercenaries were quite commonly used. I think these are prohibitively expensive, at least in the early days of the game. Okay, has fallen ill. It says interesting, well not. Oh yes. Glad for the notification. Let's come here and arthritis. Can't we okay, targeted by siblings. Wanna oh, here we go. Seek treatment. Gotta scroll down. Okay. Seek treatment. So you are going to go up to here. You guys are going to go besiege that fortification. Yeah, I just find all this. There was a whole world that was lost with the fall of the classical world that we only have glimpses of. At least that's how I view it. I'm just fascinated by it, as you can tell. I think sitting out here with the fleet makes this fall faster. I think. Nope. We're getting in a battle here. Oh, come on, click on. Oh, no, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to see the battle results. Oh, here we go. Okay, this is a little different here. Okay, that should devastate them. Now we're besieging that. Assault from there. Further away from there. So our relatively low fleet is going to sit out here. Okay, Seleucid invasion. Okay, yeah, they're coming into the Antigonids. Well, his mother married Langrid. I think it starts with an M. You can look a lot of the stuff up. I've saved some people that have done some, genealogies for them specifically. And I'm not absolutely sure as I'm sitting here whether she was already pregnant or she had actually had the child by the time she marries Langrid. But I gather she was visibly pregnant. And I don't know, and it was more or less an arranged marriage. And she was of high status, so she isn't just some, peasant woman or, just some, hooker or whatever. She's of status, and he's of status too. And so either he got her pregnant before they married, which is possible, and now Langrid accepts Ptolemy as his son. I mean, he sort of like, yeah, this is my son. And then he has another son with the same mother afterwards. So, and which is clearly, presumably, as well as we know, language child. There's, to my knowledge, no hint or suggestion that it wasn't. But yeah, so but see, I don't think they used last names like we think of them today. Because I just don't know well enough. I'm not saying we as in humanity doesn't know. I just don't know. Because I know if I look back to about the time of the Roman conquest, you would have the situation for somebody in some of the Celtic sort of like Brittany in France. You would have somebody whose name is James Fitzjames, James, son of James. And then he would have a son that he would name Walter. So his son would be Walter Fitzjames. And then Walter would have a son that would be maybe named it James. It would be James Fitzwalter. Now, later on, a few hundred years down the road, in, say, around, and that was like around 1066, give or take 100 years from there. Time you're getting around around 1700, near enough, you have the situation where King James of France, or no, King James of England has an illegitimate son who's known as Fitzjames, meaning he's not having the king's last name of Stuart. He is acknowledged as the king's son. He's not in the line of succession because it wasn't his wife, it was just a mistress, not in the line of succession, but so he's just given the name of, Fitzjames, son of James. And so the Fitzjames has become a family, and that Fitzjames name sticks. So eventually they are showing up as last names, but there's that sort of idea. I don't know exactly what's going on in Greece and or in Macedonia. Macedonia is a type of Greek, but Philip, early in his life, shows up to the Olympic Games, and they go, which is one thing is super wrong in this game. They go, yeah, you're from Macedonia. You're the king or prince at the time. He was much younger. May have just been the prince at the time, or whatever they would have been called. Yeah, we're not sure that Macedonians are Greek. Hey guys, yeah, we sure. Not sorry, you can't attend. You had to be Greek or Hellas. He comes back next game with, I'm descended from, I forget which god that Alexander the Great also claims to, because obviously the son of his father, claims to be descended from. Here's my family history. And they go, oh, look at this, genealogical scroll. You're descended from a Greek god. Okay, yep. You can participate. So he does participate in the next, whatever, 4 years or whatever it is. I forget exactly back then. So they do accept him the second time. But the first time, they're not quite sure if Macedonians are Greek enough to participate in the games. We'll see if they try to invade our province here. Zeus, is that it? Is that naming? I forget what it was that he was claiming to be descent from. Through, I don't know, Hercules or whatever whatever the Greek, I don't know all my Greek mythology. But yeah, claiming it, okay, yeah, you're descended, okay. You're just sort of pointing out these are, through one family line or another is through, and enough of a connection to known elites in Greece, whatever that means exactly, that they accepted it. Whether they actually believe he's descended from a god or just that he's descended from the right enough families, that are established enough that can have various meanings. Worried a little bit about that army there. We're keep growing our customer base. Ptolemaios, okay. Imperium gains arrogant, how nice of him. I don't know if you were here, Diadochi, earlier. The sort of famous teacher and probably main teacher of Alexander the Great and Ptolemy is, of course, Aristotle. Philip brings Aristotle north into Macedonia to teach a group of children, including Alexander the Great and Ptolemy, but it was sort of like, I don't know, somewhere between 10 and 20 children that he was teaching. So, it's sort of the rougher parts of Greek civilization, but Greek enough to get Aristotle to come up and teach as a private teacher. Producer Macedon appears that the Basilius Cassandros succumbed to the disease of kings. Okay, yes. Yes, Hercules, do not look too pretentious, but Hercules being the Zeus. Yeah, that kind of thing. And I don't know how much. Oh, they're besieging our fortress there, sacking. Okay, we'll let the looting be gentle, because we eventually want to own this. Okay, now. Are they going to swallow up? Now, notice, I'm not... Okay, Phoenician timber, Phalanx of Sidon. Sidon's arrived in our court. Disgruntled prince seeking aid in pressing his claim to his native city throne. A reward denied by his Tiganus despite the service we may have use for him. Okay, so we get another... Okay, now, I thought when we took all of the... fortresses in a province, all the province would come over to us. That was described in one of the videos I saw. If there was no fortresses in the province, if I took the capital of the province, all of the province, not just like maybe the next door cities become mine. Now, let's look here. Okay. Because I played, less than an hour of this before starting this stream. And so do we just out and out own this now? This city here? It's no longer occupied territory? So I'm not exactly sure how all this works. Yeah, we're going to let the looting be gentle. Okay, that's just a territory. Settlement or whatever. We're going to come up to here. You're going to march up to here. Okay, pretender support, low food supply. Oh yeah, because they're besieging our city. Okay, he'll lose loyalty, but he has plenty of loyalty. Gain some corruption. That'll lose loyalty. I think we'll let him stay and we want to help Macedon fight the Antigonids right now. And I'm sorry to those watching now, or because there are a few of you, or those watching later. If I'm getting some of these detailed wrong, I label what I do here as historical commentary. When I work on a mod, or if I make a special video with notes and whatnot, then I will be much more solid ground, if you will, for the history. Let's just see. Okay, the location. But for now, this is just me talking from memory. So look up things if you want to be sure of them. Because there are definitely, various YouTube historians that do great jobs at presenting history and proper historical facts. Well, let's continue to clean up some of these places. I want to move my main sort of big army out and around to encounter whatever armies while using my smaller ones to clean up the little cities and whatnot. Okay, here we war in Africa. The Punic state, known for its begging upon themselves expand. Okay, so we could send aid. They would like us. We'd send 100. Okay, well, it's I know from earlier it's these guys. We sort of want the Carthage to oppose Rome. We don't want Carthage to be too strong either, so we'll send them some aid. I'm not even sure why this isn't grabbing up more local cities or territories. We'll leave Tyrus alone, let the looting be gentle. This may be also general but gentle. Okay, well there it did. Okay, there it finally grabbed up all the stuff around it. I guess it's just taking a while. Still a little too piecemeal for my liking. So I just feel like I gotta wander around the map. And yeah, for big cities, you need to grab them up, I no doubt. Okay, so this area needs a governor from us. Okay, we have him. He's Macedonian, he's Hellenic religion. He's Boharic and Kemetic. I don't think these matter as much as they should, meaning I really think the ethnicity should matter for where you're ruling for the ruler. Maybe it does and I just don't know it. He's a bit of a scorned family, so and he's a rather good finesse, so we'll put him in charge here. And the other one is basically Cyprus. What is it? It's Cu on the periodic table for copper, and that's because of Cyprus, because Cyprus is known for its copper production. Just another bit of trivia. Okay, 7 versus 9. He's Phoenician and Canaanite. He's Macedonian, but that's going all the way down. No, we'll put this guy up. I mean, he looks like he'd be better ruling an Egyptian province, but I don't know if I don't think it matters. But maybe it does more than I know. Again, if anybody knows more or thinks they know more, please, even if it's later, post it in the comments. I'd love to hear. Do you think Alexander the Emperor could have lasted longer if he had lived? Absolutely. One, partially to the disgust, not fully, but partially to the disgust of his Macedonians. Well, he himself adopts, at times at least, Persian clothes. He uses the Persian ruling system. So, I'm pretty sure he does put a Greek Macedonian in charge of the, if you will, the satrapy of Egypt after he goes off gallivanting around, and it's no longer really thought to be part of the Persian Empire. And this Greek guy is here basically letting the Egyptians sort of govern themselves and sort of kind of scratching the surface of building Alexandria, and that's about all he's supposed to do, and make sure that there's a modest amount of, resources, money, food, whatever, going to support the empire, but nothing that the Egyptians are like they think they got a great deal. So they're quite happy with Alexander's rule. So yeah, I think it would have held together because because you got to remember, there are Greek city-states that to some degree are independent, and it can vary from, over the years, but to some degree under the Persian Empire. The Persian Empire is very much a multicultural empire as well. They're not trying to impose Persianism everywhere. Far from it. But they are definitely doing colonies at times, from I remember, into other parts, sort of like, the Greeks are doing Greek city-state. Because Bactria, way up in here, there's Greeks. They're finding, as when they do some research, they're finding, Greek cities here, Greek cities in Afghanistan. There's, they find like mosaics, 100, easily identifiable as 100+ years later after Alexander was there. They're finding mosaics of like dolphins in these part of the world. Now, none of these people ever seen a dolphin. So either they have representation, these are Greek-style mosaics. So either they're continuing to copy from the original sources, and there's some evidence of this, there's Greeks that are here that go, yeah, there's nobody really paying me good money to make mosaics. Maybe I can go get a job way out here in Bactria. So there's these Greek cities out here in amongst, the Greeks would see them barbarians. I don't mean to diminish them. Sometimes they are sort of hill tribesmen barbarians. Sometimes they're just, Indian cultural people that are just different. There's both types going on. Bactria is sort of and there were definitely Greek settlements prior to Alexander the Great showing up in Bactria and some of these places, because when one of these little Greek city-states along here, gets sort of like uppity and rebels from, the Persian Empire, they come in and sort of slash and burn, but then take away a bunch of people. They don't normally kill them all. They go and, okay, yeah, if they stay here, they're going to cause problems, so we go take them, their women and whatever, and found a little city somewhere out here, and you go set this place up along this river here and whatnot. And you're now way away from your, rebellious support from the Greek mainland. You better behave, or, those horsemen are going to come pounding down on top of you from out here, and we won't be there to help you. So, this is Imperator Rome. Hello, mystic foes. And so, Alexander was ruling through this. So, all it takes is a focus of somebody to take over from him. So, had his son by Roxanne shown to be of moderate promise and lived to be an old enough age that people around him, look at him to leadership, and those who become the Diadochi are old men, meaning they may have their children, they may be, we could sort of kind of take over, but not quite worth starting a rebellion against a acceptable successor. I think it would have stayed, because we see like the Seleucids. I mean, they rule from here. Eventually, they sort of have sort of dual capitals, sort of like Babylon and here in Antioch. Well, I guess Antioch, maybe somewhere around here. But I think this is I think this is sort of the origin of Antioch. So they sort of have dual capitals because they're constantly trying to push to get control of the homeland, but they're also trying to rule out here. So we see the Seleucids rule for generations out there. Hey, call me. How you doing? Steam reviewers aren't good. I'm liking what I'm seeing so far. It is better than what we had. At least that's my judgment on this. Okay, yes, let the looting be gentle. We're going to keep moving up to provincial capitals while he moves to here. But this is still very early days for me. I mean, I don't know if any of you seen it, or sort of a how the hell do you do a video on a couple of things, and then okay, once it was shown, it was simple, but it wasn't clear, in my opinion, prior to being shown how to do the idea that I can only have one legion. I mean, I can raise levies, but I can only have one legion, which I thought was sort of weird. One standing army. Size, there is a yes, but not a specific. Can only be so big. I still don't know. Is this really my territory now and not just occupied territory? So if I were to sign a peace, would I get to keep all that I have here? Would I lose what I have up there, or would it, if I sign a white peace or something, does it go back? I'm not sure yet. Well, I think, okay, so, Alexander's, I want to get to China because we're here. China's just like got to be right over here that we've sort of kind of heard about, because there is like silk coming from somewhere out here they know about, and there's definitely some trade with something out here. But so they sort of know that there's stuff out here, and yeah, they know that there's steppes and horsemen and whatnot up here. But yeah, here's the Indus River. India's just, this is India. I mean, to the idea, you remember, this is Greece. Greece is big. Okay? Indus River. This is India. India's big. Once we conquer India, then we're going to get to China, and then we'll be done. Oh. Okay, so this is, the Indus River is where his generals are starting to revolt. And so he forces them to march across this god-awful desert down here. Almost kills them, literally. I mean, he does have a little bit of naval support coming along here that sort of keeps them alive, but some die, trust me. But he gets them back here, and he's pissed at their sort of revolt. They're pissed at him. There's definitely, like, people well, it's, I would say, more complicated than Hearts of Iron 4, for sure. There are events that happen. But, so, yeah, he's sort of pissed. They're back here. Some of the various satraps or whatever are sort of doing their own thing in his name. They're all claiming, yeah, I'm just doing the right thing. But, so he's sort of got to put stuff to right. People are unhappy. And then he dies. I definitely think he was looking towards this direction next. For multiple reasons. He really, I don't know if Alexander or the Greeks ever understood just how not near the end they were. I mean, he really thought, just going to be one more river, and then we're going to get to the whatever in the coast, and we're done. And that, because that was out, because Alexander really, he goes up and into Bactria. This is Afghanistan here, and he's messing around in here and trying to solve all these problems. And he thinks he's like, yeah, come on, guys, just a little bit more, and we've achieved the goal. But so he's pissed and goes back. Now, if he's going this way, one, he can raise fresh new levies, let the guys that are getting old, getting wounded, getting whatever, get them rewarded, either rewarding, the state's land equivalent of governors, not necessarily like satraps, but, hey, yeah, you were, private first class. Yeah, here's your estate. You stay loyal. You get to rule this territory kind of thing, or something like that, under the governor. But yeah, reward all these people that have been good to you, and get more. And then going this way, you're not that far from home. You know, you're obviously far from over here, but you're not that far from home. And he was definitely going to go west, in my opinion. That's my opinion. Okay, well, we'll see how this goes. Like, this is really a first look for me for this new stuff. Friends across the border, send them gold. Okay, we have gold. Judea, yeah, we want Judea. I would like Judea as a very friendly. Why aren't you capturing this? Because I'm not letting the clock go. That would be a good reason. Yes, gentle. Okay, we're going to take the capital to see if that has any effect there. We're going to keep moving for capitals here. See, I just, you know, I guess I could march up to their capital there, which definitely gives me lots of war score. As you can tell, I have played a bunch of hours of the game, you know, the standard sort of game as it been before. Any great expert on it, but played a bunch, sort of know what I'm doing, I think. This is, you know, but there's a fair lot of new. I really, quite honestly, sort of hate this need to constantly micromanage these little armies. Conquer this, please. Conquer that. Conquer this other thing. Well, I want all of Cyprus. We're back. Okay. I heard that before his death, the training of the Persians in the Greek ways. There was definitely doing that type of thing, but as different rulers have found out, including much later Roman Empire, simply, you know, long after the hoplites are really almost not a thing in Greece, simply going around to what had been Macedonia, rounding up a bunch of Greek men, giving them sarissas and the small shields, and drilling them for a few weeks or months doesn't make them phalanx troops. This game doesn't do this well, but basically you cannot. Well, they eventually do train Egyptians in the use of the phalanx, but they're nothing like Macedonian phalanx. Even, you know, there's a constant effort by the Ptolemies to import, hey, come to Egypt. Macedonians, come to Egypt. And they're constantly, you know, it's almost like a tourism brochure. They're constantly trying to get Macedonians to come to Egypt. Oh yeah, join our army. We'll pay you. Just join up. And either on retirement or maybe even before, we'll give you a, you know, land holding in there. You'll have an estate. You'll make money off of it. You can run it. But hey, when there's a war, yep, you're going to come and fight. But because otherwise, hey, if we lose, they're going to take your estate away from you, whether it's the Egyptians uprising or some other, you know, Basilius that's coming after them. So you got to keep what you got to defend the king. So there are somewhat multi-generational colonies that are raising it. It's a mental attitude. It's more than just simply taking a group of people and giving them weapons and giving them some drill. The East and I'm one of the books on warfare. I don't think Keegan. I think, oh man, maybe it was Keegan or somebody examines warfare and the Eastern way of war and the Western way of war. The Eastern way of war wants to sort of annoy the enemy, and both sides you're annoying the enemy, and eventually one enemy gets annoyed enough and they start to leave and break, and then you attack. So it's sort of, that's the Eastern way of war. So it's sort of like guys running around on horseback, throwing javelins, shooting arrows, running around. And yeah, they've got their, you know, sort of main frontline troops, but they're just sort of hanging out there with their big shields, you know, fending off the arrows. And, you know, of course, they have their own side of people running around with, you know, peltas. And eventually, when they sort of kind of think the other side is breaking, then they attack. That's the Eastern way of war. And it's to this day. That's the Eastern way of war. You can see the various Al-Qaeda and the anti-Al-Qaeda type forces, the way they fight their wars. In going right now, literally right now, somewhere in Syria or whatever, they sort of fight this way. Where the Western way of war, and it's not just the hoplites, but the hoplites are very much, it's like, okay, everybody, okay, well, yeah, we'll have a few skirmishers out in front because it's good to have them out there. They'll, you know, go out there and sling stones. That was particularly the Greek thing, but also, you know, Greeks really didn't do the bows, not so much. Yeah, there are some Cretan archers. It does happen, but they're mostly either javelins or slingers. But the real arm is the hoplite. And what we're going to do is we're going to go crash straight into the center of the enemy. And whether it's other Greeks or it's other peoples. But you also see this in, say, Celtic warfare, and that they work themselves up and charge the hell at the enemy. I'm not saying that they also skirmish. They have their skirmishers too, but they do impact. And sometimes it'll be, you know, Celtic tribe on Celtic tribe. They'll, you know, two sides of a valley. They'll get all up there, and then they'll just charge right into each other, just smash head on into each other. And so this isn't just a Greek way of war and a Persian way of war. It's a Western way of war versus an Eastern way of war. And so if you give Easterners phalanx equipment and drill them so that they can march around, you know, they can march around appropriately, and then you go, okay, their mindset hasn't changed. They'll do the drill. This is what's shown generation after generation with trying it. They'll do the drill, but they aren't going to rush headlong into a different group of phalanx. Now, if they think their spears are long enough, you know, they got some guys that are sort of, you know, using the sort of rather short Persian spears. You see the immortals. The Persians, the reason they were immortals because they had a thin veil over their face, and they always kept whatever 1,000 of them or 10,000. I think it's 10,000. And so whenever anybody died, they just replaced them. So it was always not that the individual wasn't immortal, the unit was immortal, and they never, you know, there were always more of them. You know, sort of short spear, wicker shield. Yeah. Oh, hey, I've got this long spear and this good shield. If I can go stab you, okay, great. But it gets another phalanx, that big sharp pointy stuff. Keep looking over the shoulder. Can we run yet? Can we run yet? Can we run yet? Can we run yet? They never do it. They, you know, it's now if the enemy, you know, so if your side can go out there with like horse archers or archers and break the other side, and you can tell that the other side is breaking, then because there are. You know, Egyptian trained men in phalanx drill eventually. Then they'll charge in. You know, if they really think the other side is either broke or breaking, then they'll go in for the kill. But only because that point. We are playing as the Ptolemies, which currently rule Egypt. And so we're pushing up into this territory, trying to take bits and pieces here. I think we're going to move in here and just besiege their capital. And so, yeah, and you can see this in like Marines attacking in the Middle East. They're being smart. They're not being stupid, because we can see, you know, casualty percentages and what that the Marines are doing very well, but they are definitely very much head-on, aggressive. Okay, we've won the battle up here, I guess. I guess we'll take that provincial capital. You guys get on board the boats. I am not sure whether exactly how Alexander dies. Whether it's a previous wound that goes bad, I sort of understood, or have been told that at some point, or that he was possibly poisoned. Available decisions. King of... No, we're not going to release... I don't think I want to do this. Read more about the decisions. Our attempt to control the island of Cyprus. Cyprus were followed by the Antigua and one-eyed, but the old city-state of allies may be recreating kindness. No, I want to control that. I want that. Oh, hello. Okay. See, they're there. Okay, we have monthly 1,400 now. What would be the cost of okay, that's where I click on it. Okay. This will cost you 6 every month. That's 2,000. So this would be 100. We can afford the 100 easy for a month. Okay, we'll raise you. We'll raise this mercenary unit. We'll give it a little bit of time to get organized. You come back this way. You come to there. So all of you watching, I know Call Me and Diadochi are subscribers or followers on Twitch or YouTube, but if you haven't already, please give the channel a follow or a subscription. Really would appreciate that. Okay, that yeah, that looks like a good order of battle type setup there for that. Okay, well, hopefully you can win. You outnumber him, but I know his... Come on, click. There we go. Well, I guess we won't win. Yeah, we could use the money. Well, that was sort of useless. We'll go attack them there then. I don't think we're going to... No, I think our men take some from there and a little more harshly there. So we're not planning on keeping this at the end of this time here. Let's move down to there. And yes, I don't really think that viewers now or later, this is going to be a long-term series. This is more of a experimental series. But mentioning that, let's end the episode, not the live stream, but the episode here. I want to thank you all for watching. Thanks for liking the videos. And like I said, if you haven't already, please subscribe and also comment below what you're thinking about the game. It's looking like an improvement to me. That's my current assessment. Maybe something will get me to change that, but we'll continue from here.